Hello Internet and welcome to the Batman Returns feature-length audio commentary watch-along. I am very excited to be watching with you guys today. It is December 1st as we record this, which is the perfect day to kick off one of the best holiday films of all time. A surprising number of my favorite movies are holiday-based, and it's that interesting Die Hard conundrum. I consider Lethal Weapon a Christmas film, In Bruges a Christmas film, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang a Christmas film, all of which are in my top 10. And Batman Returns I haven't seen in probably upwards of 10 years, and this I definitely consider a Christmas film. Came out in June, and then was magically one of the best tones for the holidays that we can imagine. So I'm really excited to dive into this today. I'm going to give it just another couple seconds to let other people join in the madness. Various notifications are going out. And then if you're watching this later, I'll put a little time code in the comments, when to press play. I am personally watching this on DVD, on Blu-ray. I've got a 4-movie Blu-ray collection I would show you, but I have a cat in my lap. So I believe there is only one cut of the film. If you're watching it streaming, if you're watching it on HBO Max, which I think it's available on, if you're watching it on iTunes, what have you, it should all be the same cut. We've had some strange moments with Mallrats having a different cut and certain things in these watch-alongs. So I'm excited to watch Batman Returns with you lovelies. My mom's in the chat. Say hi to her. She's the best. And we just finished a very fun Koi Cubed, which was a great time. And I will be diving in right now to Batman Returns. So let's cue this bad Larry up. All right. I will say when to press play. We got Blu-ray loading, PS4. We got Snuggly Cat moments away. I should have vamped while it was loading. Instead, now you guys get the dead air vamp while the PlayStation acknowledges a Blu-ray disc, making this already 2-hour and 6-minute film even longer in this dramatic pause. Also, I'm sorry for the glisten. I live in Los Angeles, so even December is approaching 85 degrees today. Was hot. All right, we got movement. I'm gonna get it to 0-0 and then press play. Let's see. Oh, well, my mom's not actually watching along because she's working like a responsible adult. All right, HBO Max does have it. Okay, good to hear. See, you guys are helping. Now it's not dead air. We got information coming at you. Very important news. All right, let's see here. Loading. Let's get to a title menu. All right. Going to 0-0 and pressing pause. Okay, we're at 0-0. I'm going to count us down from 5. When I press play, and then we're going to dive in. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. All right, Warner Brothers logo, beginning of ominous music. Let's see what else we have in store. Got our first Streamlabs from Mr. Michael McCarcel, who we are actually watching this in honor of. We'll get back to that in just a moment. This is for patron Michael McCarcel, who is an awesome gentleman. The Cobblepot Manor scared the crap out of me as a kid. This movie is so haunting when you're a child. I love that we were immediately introduced to a more tame visual of the Penguin. Originally, they wanted the Penguin from the 1966 live-action film to play the Penguin's father, which would have been a beautiful nod, but he was unfortunately too ill to portray him, but they tried to make that cameo. Before cameos were common, they tried to make that an Easter egg for us. But I love the use of the extended cigarette that is so iconic to the comic book Penguin. It is so immediately such a Tim Burton film. I would argue this is one of Tim Burton's scariest movies, which is saying something. We have our immediate, nod towards the cat nature to come and the rivalry between Penguin and cat. Michael McCarcel said, I honestly can't remember the first time I watched this movie. Much like Star Wars, it feels like it's just kind of always been a part of my life. I actually agree. This came out in 1992 in the summer, so I would have been 3 approaching 4, and I'm pretty sure I watched it when I was 3 approaching 4. I don't know if I went to theaters for this, but I had an older uncle who loved comic books, and I'm sure he watched it the second it was on VHS. We also were a big tape things off the TV family, and we had HBO, so I'm sure by the time Christmas rolled around, it was on HBO, and I would have recorded it and seen it. So 4 years old, yeah, this is definitely a fabric of my childhood. Oh, the score is so good. I also love that it opens like a silent horror film. Like, it's just a score, there's no dialogue yet. We're just experiencing this terror alongside Penguin. Throwing a baby in the water is just like pure cruelty opening this film. Oh, my mom says I did see it in theaters. So I was 3 years old. Wow. Okay, so that summer I saw this movie at 3 years old. How I'm not an absolute psychopath. Like, this movie is terrifying for a 3-year-old. I did actually have the McDonald's figures for Batman Returns because I was obsessed with this movie. I just didn't realize how obsessed, how young I saw it. Yeah, this was like... I mean, Batman came out before I was born. I think Batman's 87, or is it 89? I was born in 88. So Batman, the first one, I would not have seen in theaters or remembered it. But this experience was beautifully traumatizing. God, it's sound. The sound of Batman. For me, there's no topping this score. Like, this is pitch perfect. Michael Gough, who is the Alfred for all 4 of these films through George Clooney and Val Kilmer, and obviously the 2 Michael Keaton films, which is, I'm curious if they're going to address that in the Flashpoint movie coming up. Are they going to address the fact that we've had Ann Alfred for 4 Batman? Is this part of the multiverse? Are they going to go back as far as this? Because Michael Keaton's in Flashpoint. They could easily make the Michael Gough Alfred a crossover of sorts. I'm really curious if they'll go there. Mom, I appreciate you being a bad mom. It helped shape me. Now, Batman's part of my life. I got Alex Ross, Rogues Gallery, right behind my head. Stan Winston, the Penguin makeup, got nominated for Best Oscar for makeup design. Nominated, didn't win. The Penguin design was shrouded in so much secrecy that they actually hired a private investigator when photos leaked of what Penguin looked like. He couldn't tell. Danny DeVito. Sorry, I almost said Danny Elfman. Danny DeVito couldn't tell his family. He was sworn to total secrecy, and then photos leaked. Warner Brothers hired a private eye, which is crazy. The set was so secretive that they wouldn't let, I believe it was Kevin Costner on set when he wanted to go visit his friend. So even Costner wasn't welcome. John Peters, the legendary producer that famously wanted to put a giant spider in the Superman film starring Nicolas Cage. John Peters interviewed in the great John Schnepp's The Superman What Happened. Death and Return to Superman What Happened. The John Peters legacy is strong, man. Tim Burton nor Michael Keaton originally signed on for a sequel, so they had a lot more clout on this film because they basically got to say, well, I'd like a lot more money, please, and I'd like more creative control to make the movie I want, and they both think this is the superior of their 2 Batman films. I haven't seen it long enough to judge, but we will judge by the movie's end. Look at that Gotham. It looks just like the animated series. I really hope Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves' Batman invests so much in Gotham, because to me, Gotham is such an important character. I love the Nolan films, but it felt like a city you could visit, which is what made it so human and made the characters so human, but it also felt like a city you could visit so it didn't feel like Gotham, if that makes any sense. So I love those films, but there's something really special about this. These sets are just so practical and enormous, and you can tell you could walk on them. When it was in full tilt, 55+% of Warner Brothers was Gotham sets. Practical sets covered half of the Warner Brothers lot, and the Warner Brothers lot is huge. All of this info dump, I apologize. I'm going to spread out the information so I don't have anything, so I'm just not silent for an hour. A lot of information coming at you. The POV shot of Penguin looking up at his Gotham, like the overbearingness of it, and we see his little flippers. The Alfred of many movies. I love Michael Caine, but he's the Alfred I grew up with. it's Sean Whalen. I know that guy. No shit. He got huge off of a Michael Bay produced commercial for, I think, Got Milk. Sean Whalen's a great guy. I didn't know he was in this. Good for him. That's awesome. Again, all of the practical and miniatures really shape this. Like, that was probably a miniature, but they don't make movies with this kind of attention to physical detail. Like Lord of the Rings they did, but it's so much more rare. Christopher Walken as Max Schreck, I believe is his last name. Spidey got up. I can now show you. This is the format I am watching on. I am a big believer in Blu-ray because I have crisp picture and sound that I'm talking over. In earlier drafts, Max was Harvey Dent, and Billy Dee Williams was going to reprise his role, and then they started changing the character more and more, and then they just had a new character as played by Christopher Walken. The undercurrent of sexism against Catwoman is, I think, a really important part of the character and played really well by Michelle Pfeiffer, overpowering it. There's some interesting lines later that people think don't hold up, but I see them as sarcasm, and I think it's part of the character. But we'll see if that holds up. A perfectly cast son of Christopher Walken, that guy. Jesus, excellent work. Ah, yes, the age-old insult of calling yourself a corn dog. Julian says, I think this is better than 89. Very entertaining movie. Tim Burton, Danny Elfman, that's my Gotham, says, The Great Mr. Rue. And Rob W. remembers this shot of Selena from the original trailer. Made me so excited for the character. And Michael McCarsell, I agree, that wig is majestic. It's perfect. I've always liked that the mayor of Gotham was such an integral character. Even in Nolan's trilogy, the mayor coming back and then killing the mayor in Dark Knight with the ramifications felt real. So the mayor is so important. I really hope that's part of Matt Reeves' Gotham. I think actually this movie and this mayor is when I even learned what like a mayor was. Rob W., the set is actually huge. This is just one of many, many, many sets. It was actually the entire, like, most of the Warner Brothers lot by the time they were done building. Those are, like, practical giant statues. I am blocked with text. Is that better? Okay. Oh, did I move more into the text? I did, didn't I? Here. You still hear me? I'll project. Oh, you're gonna get the brooding. Oh, you're hearing the movie? That's not good. It's only my headphones. Thank you for letting me know. I don't want Warner Brothers taking this down. Michael, that's a really good point. Jim Gordon didn't really have as much to do. He's an essential Batman character, but I don't think of him in the Tim Burton films. That's a really good point. The mayor had a lot more to do than Jim Gordon. But yeah, that was heartily fixed by Nolan, making him Gary Oldman as a very much second lead. These clowns are so freaking cool. Oh, and this guy was in everything in the 80s and 90s, this actor. Imagine the free reign to make a movie in your image that had a built-in property like Batman. Like, Tim Burton got to make a Tim Burton film, but he got to make it with the scope and scale of Batman. That's so incredible. That's one thing I really hope that we can have and keep with the Marvel and DC films doing well, is I hope that they're letting the creators, like Taika got to make a Taika film with Thor, and that I couldn't believe how much that was his film. Yes, the brooding. I recently watched Johnny Dangerously for the very first time, and I love Mr. Keaton even more now. Huh! The shot. Look at that. Oh, this movie's fantastic. I love that it reflects into his window, so he's... I didn't remember that at all. He's beckoned by the symbol as well. The symbol's also modified from the first film. The first film had more of a bottom lattices. That guy is perfect, Young Walken. Perfect. I think this is the best Batmobile, man. For my money, the Burton Batmobile is unstoppable and untoppable. You know, creepy music needs more xylophone. That was excellent use of xylophone, that was. Oh, I'm so glad we're watching this for Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. Like, out of context, this could be any Burton film, and it also works in Batman context. And that's what I mean by the flavor of the director. I really hope that we can have more of that. And the Batman toys to take out crazy carnies on stilts that are murdering with flamethrowers. I mean, come on, what do you want? This also feels like a Batman comic. The rogues, the henchmen. It kills me that Jeff Dunham, the puppet guy, owns Tim Burton's Batmobile. The Great Mr. Roo, that is a fact I did not know. I hope there's a bunch of these, and it is fascinating to me that at least one is owned by Jeff Dunham. If I had that money, I'd do the same. Look at that, that's so cool. Also, the amount of practical, like this is before CGI was really popular. There's some visual effects in this. That's actually the other award it was nominated for, but overall, like, this is all here and real, and you can touch it and you can tell. The reverence for the Batmobile is also essential. Michael McCarcel says he is partial to the Batman the Animated Series Batmobile. They're similar but still different enough. I love the Batman the Animated Series one, but I could never... This is the visual version of that in Intangible, so I got a slight preference for this one, but that's a close second, good sir. The lighting to just grab his eyes with the makeup and the brooding. I love how twitchy Selena Kyle is. Because then the transformation into her, like, coming into her own, and the character of Catwoman, the sensuality versus the neuroses is so perfect. I thought Anne Hathaway did a very commendable job. I think she's an excellent Catwoman, but to me, Michelle Pfeiffer is unstoppable. And untoppable, as I said earlier. Rob W., I prefer this suit over the 89. I think this one looks like I can move a little bit more. I also like the symbol a little bit better in this one. I thought the extra little divots on the 89, I prefer the cleanness of this one. And I also love that he's wearing Nikes. He's got like Nike 6s, and they are boots because they added top things to his calves, but he's wearing Nikes in this one. Just the overall suit looks more manageable and more realistic to move in. In my opinion, Halle Berry was never Catwoman. That didn't happen. That said, the Catwoman film that was developed after this did so well for Michelle Pfeiffer to star in, they were going to do a Catwoman spinoff after this, like in 91, and that obviously stalled out, and that's what eventually turned into the Halle Berry movie after like 10 rewrites, and it was unrecognizable, the script, and yeah, it wasn't great, but I would have loved to have seen a Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman movie. I really miss this era of Tim Burton. The whimsy and playfulness of the camera decisions that don't feel too trite. The use of miniatures, the playfulness. I agree. This could be any. This zoo could be any Burton movie. There he is, the first look at Danny DeVito's perfect penguin. I think it's really smart they cast Colin Farrell and they're going a very different approach, because if they did something too similar to this, there's no comparing. Danny DeVito's perfect. It's really smart to reintroduce him 20 years later in a different way. Lean into the gangster, lean into the subtext instead of the text, the subconscious instead of the conscious. Man, the effects are perfect. He looks so good. Enough prosthetics to be terrifying, but he can still emote. Oh. Mom, I don't think I can get up. I guess I gotta grab something from my door. I'll be right back, everybody. I'm back. Mom, there was nothing at the door. I got a thing earlier. Was there 2 things today? I got 1 thing earlier. My mom is the best mom ever. I do have the best mom ever. You guys are right. For the people not in the chat, my mom said there was a gift at my door. I got something earlier. There wasn't anything at my door just now, so hopefully all is well. I'm waiting for her to respond. The thing I got, Mom, was small and white, and it feels like a Blu-ray. If that was the thing. I haven't opened it, but it feels like a Blu-ray, but I don't know what Blu-ray. That's the Christmas part. Hopefully that's the thing. Hope it's safe. It's inside. The black blood, the soot, the greenish black, like, just, you could smell it. It's like, bleh. Okay, we're good. My mom said we're good. It's the thing that was delivered earlier. They just notified her late. We're well. Okay, back to the movie. Sorry, later watching audience. Christmas is important. It's a Christmas film. The cool thing about doing a Tim Burton film is that bright neon green sludge doesn't feel out of place, but it's as cartoony as the Batman the Animated Series. Arguably, this film is more cartoony than Batman the Animated Series, an actual cartoon. But it works tonally. I love that as long as you don't show blood, you can be this grotesque, and this is a PG-13 film. The little animal sounds because he was raised by penguins. That dialogue right there was one of the lines I read about her being like a bad feminist icon, but I always took that as like dripping with sarcasm. Like, I can't speak to feminism, but I've always thought she was a very empowered character. But that's a conversation. As a lover of cats, I completely empathize and love this character. I love her character. Oh, it's perfect. We have so much character development so quickly in this film. We're 25 minutes in, and it's given us a very believable Selena Kyle, a new character in Max Schreck, who's not in the comics to my knowledge, and I've read a fair amount of Batman. We've got Penguin already established and terrifying. We've met Batman, and he darts in and out. We haven't had Bruce Wayne yet. I love that it's a Batman movie, and then Bruce Wayne is the mask that Batman wears. Also, this movie's pacing is incredible. We're 25 minutes in, it feels like 5 or 10. The underlighting on both of them, and that kind of gives her cat ears, and it kind of shapes the old superhero style mask, but it just makes Christopher Walken terrifying. Tim Burton was made to make this movie. and made to make a Batman movie. I would have loved to have seen a third Tim Burton Batman film. Apparently, Marion Doherty, who's the casting director of this film, was loved Christopher Walken, but even Tim Burton was scared of him. So talked him into casting, or at least, you know, the funny stories you hear after, but facetiously talked him into casting him because Tim Burton was terrified of Christopher Walken. His enticed nature to fear, like the drawing him in of her fears. Super early visual effects was that green screen drop. It looked great. The cats. They apparently did this shot by having a dummy in place of her covered in tuna, and then swapping her in once the cat were used to the dummy, and then filling her pockets and basically covering anything not on camera of her with tuna to draw the cats in. Because those are all real cats. It's hard to train a cat, so you just put tuna everywhere. And have a very, very calm, patient actress. This is actually how Spidey wakes me up every morning. This is how I start my day, every day. Spidey cat, Jamie Madrox multiplies himself. The strings here, man. The entrance we had 10 minutes ago with the lighting and the drama, and then the inverse here, and then the full Tim Burton undead shot. Originally, Annette Bening was cast as Catwoman, as Selena Kyle, and she got pregnant, so had to leave the role behind. And another actress whose name I can't remember lobbied for the role so hard she actually got removed from the Warner Brothers lot because she just showed up in a Catwoman suit. Michelle Pfeiffer got the role after both of those incidents. It was actually paid $2 million more than Annette Bening was going to be paid. She was paid $3 million, and I think Annette Bening was only getting paid $1 million, and then she got pregnant, so couldn't play Catwoman. And I mean, I love Annette Bening, but what a gift to cinema. Miss Young from Blade Runner was the actress that showed up on set. Thank you very much, Rob W. That fact has always fascinated me. Comic Quirks with Jimmy, thank you. I love this poster too. I keep bringing up the score because I love it so much. This is the very first film made with Dolby Digital, so the sound is, and again, I'm watching it on Blu-ray, so the sound's incredible. There's so many good animal actors in this movie, between the cats and the penguins. It's very good work. when this movie first came out, it set the 3-day box office record. So even since 1992, superhero films have been just slaying at the box office. It's a wonder that we had such a negative period of time in the mid to late 90s, because this set the bar so high, and then the 90s and early 2000s comic book films just didn't sing. I mean, there were exceptions. You got your Spider-Man, you got your X-Men, those series. But, after this, Batman Forever really fell off. Batman and Robin tried to go the Adam West route. It just didn't land. But this made $47 million in 3 days, which at the time was an insane figure, and the highest rated film of the time to do so. But I feel like the superhero films really lost their way for a decade after this film. And originally, this movie was supposed to have a Robin in it, but there were so many characters already. And Marlon Wayans was cast as Robin and actually cast costume testing, everything, and he still gets residual checks from this movie for Robin. But I love that this movie takes the time to, speaking of costume, show what her world is, show this costume being built. This costume is one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic, in my opinion, of the superhero costumes. Like the hand stitching, the way she looks, everything's perfect. Those cat suits were $1,000 a piece, which actually isn't that bad, all things considered. But there were 60 of them that were destroyed because of the manner of wearing them. Michael, I agree, dude. It had to be so much fun to film this scene. Yeah, the pure, glee of turning bad and the mania of trashing an apartment and all of it being, a room, basically like one of those anger rooms you get to destroy, plus the full nefarious, mustache twirling. Ugh. I always liked, Heath Ledger's my Joker, but I always liked Jack Nicholson's Joker, but I love that Tim Burton's films all feel like they would have characters like this in them. Michael, I think he was cast in this one and then did fittings again for Forever. I could be wrong, but I think he was cast in this one and then Forever, he got brought back for because he'd been cast and didn't get to use him. Both times they didn't use him, but I could be wrong. That's the Marlon Wayans Robin for those not reading the live chat. How quickly a hero! Look at that fireplace the size of a car. Oh, the Wayne Manor is so bitchin' in Tim Burton's universe. Excellence in brooding. Bruce Wayne, of course, empathizing with the parent plot. Good writing. Both, I mentioned earlier, both Tim Burton and Michael Caine had a little bit more clout in the second film with the script. So they really made sure it was a script they wanted to make, and they both think the script is better. And I haven't watched the first one in a while, but I think I agree. So, according to IMDb, Sam Hain's original screenplay draft had the Penguin and Catwoman going after hidden treasure. Dissatisfied with that, Tim Burton brought in Daniel Waters, writer of Heathers, who came up with the concept of an evil business mogul backing a bid for the mayor's office by the Penguin. And that is obviously all starting to be established here, but I think that's what a fascinating, different take, a hidden treasure Penguin Catwoman team-up movie. Does not feel as Tim Burton. The old TV that was used in so many commercials, the Bat TV in the car. I like that Keaton didn't really change his voice that much between Batman and Bruce Wayne, so when he's talking as Bruce Wayne to Alfred, it doesn't feel weird, but also we don't have the Christian Bale issue, which didn't bother me as much as a lot of people, but it's definitely a thing. I also understand the reason behind it. If you recognize someone's voice, you're kind of screwed. Oh, that's interesting. Apparently, this is the only of the Burton Schumacher, like the OG 4 Batman films, to not feature a flashback to young Bruce Wayne. And it gives us more time with scenes like this with the Penguin and building up his family, so you're not as distracted. This is just my theory. So you're not as distracted with Bruce Wayne's family history. You're focused on the new Bruce Wayne because they've gotten all these parallels of being the only lonely beast, all of that jazz. The new animal character in Gotham. So I think it makes sense not to have flashbacks. the big Shakespearean acting you can do in a movie this big. It's a lot like the green glowing nuclear waste. Like, you can act. There's also a really fun parallel to the current comics. Batman White Knight Joker becomes a politician and takes care of Gotham. So I like the mayor Penguin. Like, there's always been that element in the Gotham mythos. So they went through 60 of... wait, I want to make sure I have this number right. That suit is so bitchin'. So apparently that's one of the most atrocious costumes in the history of cinema to wear. It looks perfect, but she had to be literally vacuum sealed into it. So stitched into it and then vacuum sealed. So she only had a limited amount of time in the costume because she couldn't breathe, like the ultimate corset. So it was like a ticking time bomb of a costume on set, and it was atrocious. And apparently it was so tight she couldn't hear herself, so she'd often be yelling and have to take down the octave because it was pressed against her ears. I've had costumes where you have a bald cap or something and it pressed against your ears you couldn't hear. I can't imagine adding like a leather pleatherness to that. Fascinating. It looks great, but it was apparently torture to wear. Our first Bruce Wayne, not in the Batcave. Oh, the writing's so fun. I mistook me for somebody else. So many actresses are up for this part, and I can't see anyone else but Michelle Pfeiffer. Like Susan Sarandon, Annette Bening, Madonna, Cher, Demi Moore. I could see Demi Moore a bit, especially this time frame in her career, like how it would have changed the route of her career. But Michelle Pfeiffer is Catwoman. Gina Davis was also considered. Crazy. Up for the role of the Penguin, Dustin Hoffman was originally the first choice. Dudley Moore, Marlon Brando, John Candy, Bob Hoskins, Ralph Waite, Dean Martin, Alan Rickman, Phil Collins, Charles Grodin, Ben Kingsley, John Goodman, Christopher Lee, Joe Pesci, Ray Liotta, Gabriel Byrne, Alex Rocco, and Christopher Lloyd were all considered for the role before DeVito got it. And obviously Christopher Lloyd, it worked out. Insane. Again, I can only see DeVito. Oh, that's funny. I know exactly where that was in Warner Brothers. It's such a big set. That's right near those tracks that you've seen a lot of like New York-based shows, that there's like an overhang of train and they use it to walk under, and there's usually like a scummy area on the right side and nice on the left. But like they completely remastered it for Gotham. It's like 2 streets away from New York Street towards the main road. Like a trained fish, or I mean penguin, obviously, but that SeaWorld life. I love how grotesque he is with like that moo on, or the baby onesie. Nat, I have not seen this in 4K. I just have the Blu-ray. I have not seen the 4K cut. Is it rad? I love that comic book nod with a nod to the opening of the film. That also messed me up as a kid. The architecture of his face, like the use of actual deformities to make it look almost plausible. And then the comics did that too, like the Jeff Loeb Tim Sale, Long Halloween, like the Tim Sale drawing is a lot like what they did with DeVito here. Nat Roman says the HDR really makes the blacks deep and the colors pop, one of the best restorations. That's one of the reasons I love physical media, like the Blu-ray and 4K stuff. You can really see it, and like the internet's great, but streaming's never going to be as clear. Oh, I didn't know this. The film was considered the breakout role for renowned character actor Doug Jones, who played the role of Thin Clown. I had no idea Doug Jones was in this. So, leaving the first act, the insanity of Mayor Penguin for the second act, again, the xylophone just kills me. And mirroring the opening fight scene, now we've got clowns and explosions, the escalation. Just from a narrative standpoint, it's so clean. I love the Bat score, man. I forgot how much I loved it. This movie is 31 years old and holds up. The lighting on Batman in this film is so hard to top. Again, I'm so glad they went a totally different route with Nolan, because it'd be so hard if you compared all of these. But instead, this movie feels like a totally different Batman, and I think that's what Reeves is going to do as well. And the Frank Miller approach with Snyder, like, it's all very, very different. So they're all different Batman. And that's the beauty of the comic books as well. Like, this fight scene wouldn't work with Ben Affleck. He's much more brutal. Oh, you're right. Thank you, Michael. Batman 1 was 89. This is 92. This film is 28 years old. It also holds up for a 28-year-old film and math. This movie's been able to drink for 7 years. That whip was found by Michelle Pfeiffer in 2004 when she moved. She moved, apparently. But she went on social media and, like, shared shots of her, like, playing with the whip, and I think that's rad. So yeah, they made 60 of those suits at $1,000 a pop. That's actually not bad. $60,000 for 60 of those. That's pretty incredible. But you have to cut her out of them and like sew her into it, so they all got destroyed through the process. I honestly can't imagine trying to like move around in something I'm vacuumed into. That's crazy. Wilhelm scream! 57 minutes in, Wilhelm scream. That meme of him smirking, and then he definitely killed that guy. Like, Batman doesn't kill, but he definitely killed that guy. That guy's dead. That guy had a bomb in his pants. That was only 2 hours of makeup on Penguin. That's actually not bad compared to some of the horror stories. An hour into the movie, Catwoman, Penguin, Batman meeting for the first time as Shreks explode. The timing in the script, beautiful. So silly. Just ridiculous. That's the right amount of cheesy. If you go further, like that even acknowledges the Adam West cheesy, but it just, because it's Tim Burton, it works. So Michelle Pfeiffer apparently trained 6 days a week, 2 hours a day, kickboxing, yoga, all sorts of craziness, and I believe her fighting. Actually, I would argue that she looks like she could fight a little bit more than Michael Keaton does. No disrespect to Michael Keaton. He's also stuck in a very stiff suit. You can see his Nikes there for just a second as he goes over. Elite, we're at 1 hour and 45 seconds. Catwoman just got pulled back up off the roof. See you soon, Mom. Today, Batcat, Tom King, and Clayman's long-awaited miniseries drops. A very perfect day to watch Batman Returns. I've been waiting for this spiritual sequel to Tom King's Batman work for a year now, and this feels like a perfect movie tie-in. The details in the suit, at least on the Blu-ray, you can see the different kind of leather on the cape versus the gloves, and all of it looks manageable for a billionaire to wield, which is something else I always really dug about the Burton suit. Also, the seemingly rubberized armor and her reaching through it and around it to find his weak spot. Apparently that murder scene of him killing the strong man with the tattoos, that clown, is Michael Keaton's favorite scene, so that evil Michael Keaton smirk is appropriate. Danny DeVito was 46 when they filmed this. I had no idea Danny DeVito was like 70. That's insane. I wonder if Colin Farrell's ever going to don the monocle. Because he wears it briefly in this one, but I'm wondering if the monocle will be a thing. The stitches in the shoulder where the seam's ripping. That suit's so cool. I always like when you can sneak in a POV shot and it doesn't feel out of place, and this POV is great. This is a real bird, and this was a real bird in Michelle Pfeiffer's mouth. There were a bunch of fake birds, but she never thought it looked real enough, so that is a real bird in her mouth. Michelle Pfeiffer. Put in the work. Such a comic book moment. Oh shit, apparently the boyfriend that breaks up with Selena Kyle so dismissively that says he needs some time to himself was the voice of Tim Burton. What a fantastically weird scene. Whoa, Paul Rubens was the guy playing Penguin's biological father in the beginning. That's crazy. He would then play Penguin's father in Gotham, but as a different character. But I didn't know that was Paul Rubens ever until this moment. Paul Rubens also auditioned for the role of Penguin, but got the Penguin's father. That little poodle. There's a lot more murder in this than the average Batman movie. I want that fireplace so bad. So they very intentionally kept this separate from being a sequel and not having it tie into the first one directly. But then this scene, the Vicky Vale references, it's really interesting how Tim Burton didn't want to do a sequel, but they kind of like, this scene is the only tie-in between the two. Imagine all the people that were so mad at his casting seeing this movie. I mean, obviously after Batman, but like Michael Keaton's such a great Bruce Wayne. I love all the little implications that she knows from the moment we meet her, when she's come back as Selina, and then like just it turning into like the reverse Lethal Weapon scene. Hey, look, Commissioner Gordon's here. What a peaceful, wonderful Alfred. I love the MI6 take on Alfred. I like that girl with the cool voice from Watchmen, and I love Michael Caine, but the peacefulness of Go and his His wisdom feels like someone that raised Bruce Wayne. I also like that you can have a ton of different Batmans, but also a ton of different Alfreds that all have different flavor to them. The two rival suit-up scenes, the Bat and the Cat. So cool. Always wanted that. One of the first movies ever to use visual effects like that. The Shield, that was all OG CGI from 28 years ago. Pretty impressive. Another of the reasons it was nominated for Best Visual Effects. That looks pretty great for 92. It is Doug Jones! No shit! Where does he get those wonderful toys? The monkey! It took a while, but we got the monkey. So the clowns in the new Matt Reeves Batman footage, I really feel like we're going to get like the closest between an amalgamation of what David Fincher would have done and Tim Burton's flavor of Gotham. Eat floor, high fiber. There's the Adam West influence. Pfeiffer and the movements, man. She can fucking move. I love all the training she takes. It shows and how like acrobatic she is. I think Zoe Kravitz is going to be an incredible Catwoman, and I'm glad they're not doing anything that we've seen before because you cannot replicate. I love all the sculpture imagery of Gotham. They try to do this really fascist imagery, like with symmetry and dark symbolism, and it really translates. I think these are the only CGI creatures in the film is the bats, because the cats obviously are trained, the penguins are trained, but I think those are fake. See, this just feels like in all the best ways, feels like a comic book, like the bats hiding in the tree and the imagery of that. Even the background buildings, which are largely practical and like, built to a different scale, but they even look like Batman the Animated Series. Perfect dialogue. Yes, ridiculousness. I completely forgot he did that. I remember 80% of this movie, but I forgot the literal bat hang gliding overhead shot that this movie gets away with. Look at that Gotham. Another very fun, playful nod to the comic books is the back and forth with Catwoman hoodwinking Penguin. It's gotta be at least Life 3. Welcome back, Mom. My mom's home from work. She's in the chat again. Mom, we're at 1 hour and 22 minutes, 45 seconds. I love the little bat car because those. Remember those were like in front of Kmart's and like department stores and everything in the 90s. They actually used one as a prop here. This is just like having a Tesla now. Penguin is such a good villain. They're going to be in for a really interesting time. I think the Riddler was the right move for Matt Reeves because of the Penguin as a lead is Danny DeVito. I think Colin Farrell's going to be a big bad that's going to go throughout the films. Like be a small part in this one, small part in the next one, bigger as they go along. But like this Penguin is so perfect and nefarious. And building a practical Gotham to the scale and scope that they did at Warner Brothers a lot allows for scenes like this that don't feel like you're going to run into another set. Like, even in your subconscious, this feels like it's a whole city. That Batmobile is so fucking cool. This must have been so much fun to set up. The stunt team on this is top notch. That car! I remember riding that thing as a kid. It might have been from the first Batman, who knows? But I remember riding a Batmobile that looked like that. I think this was part of an ad campaign. I think that moment was used in like Pizza Hut or something. Whatever. I know there were a bunch of ads tied to this, and that's actually why Tim Burton left, is the lack of McDonald's tie-in. The Batman Forever had so many McDonald's and became a full-on commercial. You remember the Bat credit card? That was for Bat credit card. I miss the era of cop cars looking like that in movies. Oh, there we go. Very akin to the Dark Knight Bat bike. Yes. It's very convenient that alleyway was there. That's just too thick for regular cars. The land submarine of Batman. I love the monocle on the big poster, the comic book imagery. Also, the timelessness of corrupt politicians is since, Greece, but the plot here of imagery that ties into Batman so beautifully. The imagery of what makes a hero that Nolan used later, and I just think it's a great consistent theme with Batman, and they use it well with the dichotomy between the two here. The other reference to the first Batman. What I'm looking forward to is this same mind and tech to be used for detecting when we finally get the world's greatest detective in an upcoming Batman film. The bat symbol, yes! Bat branding begins. I love that the costume design is so timeless. Like, this Gotham could exist at any time, but it's got so much, like, that guy's fedora fits so many things. That's not how CDs work, Bruce Wayne. But like what they're wearing is timeless and universal, and I think that really works as a strength through these films. And also, this is so much more like the animated series than I remembered. Like the fedora, the wardrobe, obviously Gotham and the car. There's so much DNA. Batman the Animated Series being my favorite cartoon, arguably, of all time. That is actually the great Danny DeVito getting pelted with lettuce and tomatoes and whatnot. He didn't want to body double do it. He wanted to do it himself. And one of the people pelting is Danny Elfman throwing vegetables. The beautiful symmetry from the opening of the film. From whence he came. Oh man, this duck scared the crap out of me as a kid too. So, interesting thing about these penguins was that they were king penguins and they had to stay at a certain temperature. So, even though this was filmed in Los Angeles at over 100 degrees, this entire set was kept at 35 degrees. So, apparently, the penguins were very happy because a number of them had eggs and mated while they were filming Doug Jones. But the whole set was 35 degrees for the penguins' safety and health, and they were very happy taking care of penguins. That speech is a play on the Elephant Man's "I'm not an animal, I'm a human being," obviously the inverse here used by Penguin. Michael McCarsell says, to be fair, Batman the Animated Series was originally conceived as a sort of tie into this in '89. I vaguely remember that, and it makes sense chronologically, like there's a word I'm missing here. But yeah, it makes sense for how those things worked out. In chronology, there's the word. If memory serves, that is Bob Kane's handwriting on the invitation there. He's such a great Alfred. I love the imagery in this scene, and I didn't get it till I'd seen it, like, as a teenager after seeing it as a kid, but everyone's in costume without a mask except for Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle, because the masks are Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle. Their true selves are the Bat and the Cat. Love. Someone called. We're back. I just had to hit no. Don't worry, no technical issues. Yet. No mask. Because Bat and the Cat are who they are. Bruce and Selina are who they pretend to be. It's great. He even acknowledges it. It's great. Hmm. Hmm. The playfulness of that reveal even after everything. More lots of dead people. I mean, obviously that's what villains do, but the body count in this one's it's up there. What a great supervillain scheme. It's so good, it's so believable, it's so practical in a horrible way, it's so poetic for him. I the darkness of the penguins being dressed like this when they're like his family. Like he sends kamikaze of his family penguins, like they raised him. Penguin. Sorry, I genuinely forget how this goes for the next few minutes. Yeah, Michael, I agree. The father son relationship there, but I always saw it as like his legacy was all he had, so it's almost selfish in caring for his son because he's such a villain. Uh, but maybe that's just because the coldness of Christopher Walken. I'm like, he's got to be a ploy. Struck me crazy what else that guy is from, because he's in everything in this era. That, like, head henchman guy. Vincent Schiavelli, organ grinder. Oh, he's a Bond villain in Death to Smoochie Goes, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Tons of stuff. 163 credits. Good for you, organ grinder. Holy crap, what a career. He passed in 05, unfortunately, but 163 credits. I think Death to Smoochie was what I was thinking of. Have a good night, Nat. Thanks for joining us. So apparently this monkey was terrified of... Yes, that is Bob Kane's handwriting. That's the one. I knew there was a note, and of course the bat symbol. The monkey was terrified of Danny DeVito, so they had to bribe him a few times to film that shot. But I love that even monkeys know better than to mess with that man. Such good supervillainy. The robot penguins were apparently so realistic that the real penguins would sleep curled up next to them, which is precious. But they were also the first things that Stan Winston Studios used the CAD system to make, and the CAD system is hugely influential in all sorts of tech, but especially in films. And this is one of the first times they had like laptops at Stan Winston Studios, which is so funny to think about now. 28 years, how much things have changed. Bat sub. I had the old Sega Genesis version of this game, Stephen Gamble. Or was it Super Nintendo? I think I had Genesis. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Genesis of Batman. HP Productions, a Corvette is the perfect Batmobile. I see it. I see its lines. Bruce Wayne would drive a vet. I see it. One-liners. It's a good thing he had that programming in his sonar for penguin shapes. There are more moments of this that remind me of the Schumacher stuff. Obviously not as extreme than I remember, but there's a lot more like fun, cheesy hijinks. And again, when the movie's an 11, because it's Tim Burton, you can do more of that. Comic Quirks with Jimmy, that is a good choice. Jason Aaron's Thor God Butcher is a great first comic for someone that might like that metal, hardcore sensibility. I never noticed. I love that the ice dome has refreshments written on the top of it. It's the little things. Again, the giant Atlas shrugged fascist statues with Gotham and the wealth inequality and the poverty and the billionaires and all that stuff. The detail work in the Gotham itself, adding to the characters. Like, there's so much Atlas shrugged happening in the background. Stephen Gamble, I barely have time to do one of these a month, much less next week. I am hoping to do a Christmas movie. Mr. Michael McCarcel and I have to talk, but I've got some Christmas movies in mind. But that will be the next one, and then I'm going to try to be done with my responsibilities in order to take a week off around Christmas. But there will not be time for another watch along except for my Christmas one. But I appreciate your enthusiasm. I like that you want Batman Forever. I can't believe that's Doug Jones. That's awesome. Not them, the other one. Next time I go to Burning Man, I would love if someone made a giant duck art car. Now I want to. I don't have the tech or money yet, but I at some point want to make a penguin giant duck art car. Or even the small one that he like drives. Wait, no, I want the Batmobile that he drives in order to remotely drive the full-size Batmobile. I just want to retrofit one of those 25-cent rider toys into an art car. That's what I want to do. Goals. I like the honesty there that Michael Keaton actually has something about feeling like a monster versus him being a monster, and the lineage and parents and firstborns of Gotham, all of it. You've betrayed your family, Penguin. And now that I think about it, Tim Burton's done this kind of thing with a crazy zoo and explosions in so many of his movies. Like Dumbo had this with Christopher Walken, I think. No, with Danny DeVito. The man likes to explode a zoo. Maybe it's only those two movies. I don't know, but the imagery is very clear. Aw, it was always a sad thing, the other clown. Such a cool shot of Batman, man. Oh. Down some lives. Battle ravaged. The retractable heels for the stunt woman / Pfeiffer is genius. How did you not realize? Look at her hair. Comic book logic. Oh, maybe he's figuring out. Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe he's figuring out that he's Bruce Wayne. Maybe that was a pondering look of Bruce Wayne. Maybe I overjudged. This is a beautiful moment. And they get rid of the eyeshadow so he can unmask. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Don't do that in front of the bad guy. But awesome and badass. So awesome. Sorry, this scene needs to be revered, not spoken through. How about a kiss? Anti-Claus is one of the great lines in comic book movie history. Ah, Michelle Pfeiffer is such a perfect Catwoman. The pure psychosis and like believable animosity and the translation of character from Selena to her. There's so much there. It's such a hard character. All right, Michael, now this amount of sludge coming out of his mouth, that's got to be more than just black food coloring, right? Because that's straight up like green oil. The wig was necessary so that shot would sell. The whole movie. A bizarrely tragic, evil, malicious, gross figure. Tim Burton has a way of making us care. Because this scene is so poignant. Oh, these are real penguins. It's incredible. This movie might be better than I remembered. This is an excellent film. Pallbearer penguins and all. So apparently this last sequence with Catwoman was filmed mere days before the premiere, and it was a total afterthought, and it cost like a lot, tens and tens of thousands of dollars to get the last shot for this mystery moment, but it changes the whole film, so it's essential. But it's interesting that it was so last minute. That's the legend anyway. Yeah, the chat is saying $250,000, which is the rumored number, but that must include sets, salaries, actors coming back, like a lot. That's a lot of money even for a superhero film for an additional shoot. And then Michael's saying it was meant to tease her solo film that never happened. Oh, it happened with Halle Berry. But yeah, we never got the Michelle Pfeiffer solo film we all deserved. I would have loved to see what other life she used to save for next Christmas, and it's even in the movie to give us that. But look at this Gotham, man. Beautiful. Love the architecture. I love the production design. You got to give it to Tim Burton for his production design. And yes! Giving the Batman moments Catwoman at the end for, like we said, a solo film. God damn. So yeah, maybe that $250,000 includes Michael Keaton, rebuilding a set, something, 'cause that's a lot of money. But it would have been really cool to have Michelle Pfeiffer, and I could see the studio being like, okay, it's worth it. Gives us a whole nother movie. But it never came to pass. Yeah, that was way better than I remembered. I remember loving this film, but I didn't know if it would hold up. It's been at least a decade since I've seen it, so I was worried. It's a fantastic holly jolly time. Project consultant Bob Kane, hell yes. I really love the attention to detail to the comics, but also it being so Tim Burton and free from necessarily tying too deeply in mythology. I can see why Tim Burton and Michael Keaton consider this the superior film between the two. I love the first one, but Heath Ledger's such my Joker now that it's hard for me not just see Bruce Willis, not to just see Jack Nicholson just wearing makeup. It's a fun movie, but there's something so poetically dark about this one, so much more of a blend between Burton and Batman, and I feel like the dialogue, even the cheesy dialogue's a little punchier. Plus, you've got so many scenes like Penguin, Catwoman, and Batman in a scene together is always going to be cool. We talked about the fights and stuff. I really love the stunt choreography, the way they were able to use the suits, you know, what limitations they had. They were able to work around that. Love the redesigned bat symbol from the first one. Love maybe my favorite Batmobile in this. It's such a good time. Yeah, this was fun, y'all. I want everyone in the chat to thank the great Michael McCarcel. He is the patron who is the patron saint of movie watch-alongs. That is a tier on my Patreon where I'm only going to do, I've only got a slot for 2 of them because they're very time intensive and I don't have enough time in the month generally. I want to make sure we get at least 1 in a month, so that is Mr. Michael McCarcel, who I appreciate very, very dearly. This is always a good time. If you guys want to check out any of the other stuff over on my Patreon, we've got patron-only podcasts, we've got a new Displate tier, we've got ratings of all comics I read every week, which is like 40 comics a week. We've got ratings of every movie and TV show I watch every month, which is substantial. We've got all sorts of stuff and me reviewing content that you suggest. And the next one of those I'm doing is Anna and the Apocalypse for AJ Lancaster. I've never seen Anna and the Apocalypse, but I hear it's a Christmas movie, and AJ recommended it, so I'm going to be diving into that next. So everyone, like I said, thank Michael McCarcel. That's the reason we're here. That is the way we do this. The man worked out today and then had some beers and joined us for this glory. I have not eaten because I just did Koi Cubed right before this. So if you haven't checked out Koi Cubed, we talked about the news that broke today. And to wrap this up, in conclusion, it is a perfect day for you to check out Batcat. That is the new series from Tom King and Clay Mann. It dropped today, December 1st. If you're watching this in the future, it's available. Probably a second printing, so that shit's going to sell out. Check out Batcat. It is a good time. And also, I see in the chat, then we got Schumacher. Elite 71. Schumacher is a goddamn genius. His Batman films, I think, were very crowded by studio interference. If you watch Phone Booth or Flatliners or The Lost Boys or a number of his other films, I think Schumacher's a genius, but I think his Batman films were a lot of cooks and a very confusing kitchen. But I do see your point with the Schumacher comparison after this. And I do think Val Kilmer would have been a good Batman in other hands, and George Clooney would have been a good Batman in other hands, but Warner Brothers was trying to make some weird mix between Burton and West, and it was not going to happen. So, yeah, I like the Schumacher director, and I like the Schumacher films with an asterisk, but they're certainly not the Burton films. I still think the Nolan trilogy is my Batman, but this was even better than I remembered, so I'm really glad we revisited it. And I'm excited for whatever comes next. So I've been talking for a little over 2 hours straight, and before that I was talking for an hour. So I'm going to stop talking because I'm losing my words. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate. I hope you had a safe and sane Thanksgiving. Be careful traveling. I canceled my Christmas. That's why I had a package that my mom was worried got delivered, but I got it earlier because we're doing Christmas remotely because it's the only safe way to do it. So please think and be safe and be sane, and I care about each and every one of you. You're awesome. Have a good holiday. We're going to do probably one more of these before the end of the year, before the holidays, and as well as Anna and the Apocalypse, and a Gremlins review is dropping this week. So Gremlins this week, comic books and craft beer, hopefully on Friday, a new Displates video next week, another Koi Cubed, an Anna and the Apocalypse review, more Koi Cast, all sorts of stuff coming at you before the holidays. So have a holly jolly one, you lovelies. I will see you Friday latest for comic books and craft beer. Hopefully it works out scheduling-wise with me and Jenny. I appreciate you all very, very much. And thank you to everyone that is still in here. We got HP Productions, we got Michael McCarcel, of course, Rob W., my mom, Stephanie Jandreau, Elite 71, who I can now think about it, I see you're just talking about the Schumacher Batman, and I'm with you, I get you. That one guy, Stephen Gamble, Comic Quirks with Jimmy, and that's just the last few minutes. I just wanted to give some love to y'all. Thank you for tuning in for a full 2 hour and 6 minute movie. This was a blast. And for any of you watching it later, thank you for somehow sticking around for 2 hours and 6 minutes while I got really excited about Batman. And for the last 20 minutes, sat in silent reverence of how good Batman Returns was. So you can't talk over the last 20 minutes Batman Returns. So thanks for sticking around. All right, that's going to do it. I appreciate you guys. We'll see you for the next one. Thank you for being here, and thank you, as always, to Comic Books for existing. Much love, guys. Stay safe.